days are cooler, nights are warmer, and I put the blame on you. Time moves slow, but my heart beats faster. When these eyes are looking right at you, you give me something to believe in, just what I needed. You're the closest.
I get to do amazing things here, not just talk every day. I get to talk to people who are brilliant. And let me welcome my first guest. We're going to just kick off the show because he came in dressed in black with a tight tee and some jeans, looking scrumptious, looking great. Let me welcome star and executive producer of The Family Business. Y'all know him from Ghostbusters. You know him from Oz. You know him from a lot of things. I know him as Mr. Ernie Hudson. Hey.
Hey. I don't even know what to say beyond that except thank you. I'm so honored. I love you. Listen to you every day.
Do you?
I do.
What
and
is,
for
what is
years,
that?
for years.
No, how does that happen? That's
Well,
always weird to me.
Well, it's always interesting. You know, you just have some different perspectives and insights, and most I agree with. Sometimes I have to think about, but it's always something to really contemplate and to take another look at, and I appreciate that.
Well, you know, that's, I was just telling somebody the importance of life is discourse, is being able to sit with people and have your perspective stretched.
Yes.
And examine, do I really believe this? Do I really think this? That's a different way. And then you arrive at wherever you, and it's okay. Like, we don't have to, agreement is not the goal.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Last time you were here, I don't know if you remember this, January 6th, 2021.
Okay. I remember being here. I wasn't sure.
Okay. The world was, we were literally witnessing some things happening that we're now being told didn't happen. And now we're running headlong into November. You know, as the head of a family, you know, as a leader of a family, is you know, you sometimes you might have to do some unscrupulous things, and you know, has it had you sit with the ways and with the things people have to do to get from point A to point B, and have you contemplated where we are as a nation and juxtapose it to the family, or is that just complete fantasy?
Well, of course, it's all tied. It's all connected. You know, obviously, on the show, Family Business, I play the head of a family who does some, you know, some questionable things that he has to live with the consequences. So that's a different thing. It's interesting for me to be able to play that. In real life, I try not to ever put myself in that situation. Sometimes choices are made that you don't realize, you know, have far-reaching effects. But in life, you try to just be as honest, as straight as you can, and I think things unfold in a natural way. What's happening in our country right now, I'm having a hard time just comprehending. I really don't understand, but I have to hold on to the humanity, the spirit of all of us, even though we're confused, we're not at the same place, and so I have to give that grace and say, you know what, I don't know how you can come to that. I spent most of my life believing that we were continually moving up to a better place. And now I see people determined to reverse, and that is, I just have a hard time with that.
So your birthday's the day after my dad's, right? My dad was born December 16th, 1940, right? So y'all aren't too far. And I was, you know, thinking about my dad and mom. My mom's from Augusta, Georgia, Jim Crow South. Came up to Newark to live with, you know, after she married my dad. And she was like, I'm never going back because, you know, it was painful. Yeah. You grew up in Michigan. You know, during a time when it wasn't free to move about the cabin.
Yeah, no, it was a different time, and it was obviously a different time, and not a welcoming town. You know, we came up to Michigan. It was Benton Harbor, St. Joseph, Twin Cities. The blacks who came up to work in the fields, some stayed up, but they lived outside of the city, so it was pretty much segregated. And then they built some government projects right on the edge of the city, so we somehow got incorporated. So we were the first kids to sort of integrate the white school system. And now, of course, the city is predominantly black. Things have changed because of the white flight in the 60s, and things happened all over the country. But it was, yeah, I mean, you did the best you could. I picked fruit from the first thing one of the earliest memories was picking strawberries with my family out in the fields and working all through school. I would get up in the morning, in the summer especially, 4 in the morning, and go and stand on the corner with a bunch of older people. I don't know why my grandmother let me do it. And we'd wait for a truck to come up, and then we'd climb on back, and they'd take us out to some place in the country and pick fruit, and until about 5:30 in the evening, and drop us off at that little spot.
In your lifetime, because we don't think about Michigan as being, a place where people pick fruit. Right?
Oh yeah, and still do, except it's not black.
See, and we're having this whole conversation about people coming into this country. I was just talking with Sophia Chang, who's from Canada by way of Korea, and the people who are doing these jobs that we need,
yes,
are invaluable.
Yes,
right.
And
we've somehow demonized the people that we need because we all want to eat fruit and go to restaurants and do the things. We don't want to do the things ourselves, but we don't want them to do it because we don't want them. It's so wild to be black in America, though, to live in a certain time, to see almost the hands turned back. Like you were living through.
No, that was it, because the government jobs, the city jobs, they just weren't available. They didn't hire us, and they didn't pretend to hire us. It was a different time of segregation. The school was supposedly integrated, but all the black kids were in classes together, and it was one or two exceptional ones, but most of us was crammed together, and we didn't get the regular classes. We weren't allowed to take algebra. We
weren't allowed to take algebra.
No, we were on a different program. We had we had shop math instead. We had just classes. I didn't have an 8th grade English class. Teacher would come in and take the roll call and just leave the class. And so later on, when I got into Yale, all that background that I needed, people were introduced to books in preschool that I hadn't heard of.
So how do you go from not getting English in the 8th grade to Yale?
Yeah.
So, again, because we're going to have to figure out how to break through the lack of opportunities or the turning back of the, doors closing, windows closing. What was the thing that got you through, and when did you go, this is possible?
Yeah, I grew up. I grew up. My mom died when I was actually 5 months old. I was in my
From
mind
TB.
It's 3 months old. She died from tuberculosis. I never knew my dad. She got pregnant away from the family. So my grandmother raised me and my brother, and I had a real hard time with not knowing who my father was. And my grandmother, to sort of help me with that, would really stress that God was my father. But God is personal, and he knows you, and you can ask for anything and expect an answer. I grew up in a church, and at 4 years old, I was saved and sanctified and filled with the Holy Ghost. So I always knew that it was just a matter of asking for the right thing. So I had the street I grew up on named after me a couple weeks ago in Benton Harbor. It was quite an honor because
Ernie Hudson Road Boulevard is a street.
Yeah, Ernie Hudson Avenue used to be Bus Avenue, but it comes right out of the projects. So, and it was very emotional to me because when you leave the projects, you're on Ernie Hudson Way. So hopefully you can keep moving. But I just believe that there's a power that will respond to us, and we have to trust that because we can't figure it out. I don't think we're that smart. But when I was back there giving the speech, I was saying there's nothing exceptional about me. I saw the kids there, and I thought, nobody, I didn't grow up thinking that I had some special whatever, but I knew that God being my father, and if I really believed it, because I knew a lot of people talked about believing it. But did you really believe it? Because if you really believe it, then what are you worried about? So for me, it was a matter of finding what it was I wanted and trusting the universe would guide me. And the universe has always guided me. Somehow and that's what I've always trusted. I just never felt, the Bible says, put not your trust in man. So I never relied on anyone in the industry. I never relied on looking a certain way or being friends or knowing somebody with money or whatever. I just know that if I do the work, that the opportunity would come because God is real.
And man, has it come. We're going to get through a few things. Of course, Ernie Hudson is here. Ernie_Hudson, if y'all are following him on the Twitters. Original series, Carl Weber, who we love because he's a writer. This is how we know him. We know him as a writer.
Right.
And now the family business is a hit TV show where you are the star. You are the star and producer. Were you the producer the first season?
I was producer
From the beginning.
From the very beginning. They might have been reluctant to stick the name up there, but I can't remember. But I came in. What I love about this, I've been working in this business almost 60 years, and Carl Weber came to me and said, I'm doing this, and I love your work, and I want you to be a part of it.
What was the this that he said? All right, because I'm always interested in the anatomy of the deal.
Right.
What was the this?
Well, I think he just said that I don't believe you've been given the opportunity to do what I know you're capable of doing, and I want to see you be the star of this show, and I know my being attached to it helped get the show up and running, which is why I'm executive producer.
That's right.
But I love the title, but also knowing that I can go to Carl, and if I have issues, I can have some say in it, unlike most of the shows I've done where it's like just try to make this work and keep moving.
Now, did you know it was going to be a hit? From the back end, because, you see folk, and I think I saw an interview where you were like, there are periods of time as actors where it's very insecure, where you're famous.
Right.
And money's not coming in because the jobs aren't there, and you can't work at Walmart,
right?
Or you can, and then people clown you like
right.
they did our brother Jeffrey Owens, which is wrong, right? Because you
gotta
eat,
you gotta
right?
do what you gotta do.
But navigating those spaces, having a hit TV series, I think about Viola Davis or Kerry Washington, folk that have been able to use those weekly checks and then the multiple year series, to catapult them into other things. Has this been that for you?
Yeah, well, I learned, I committed to being an actor and had that prayer that we talked about back in 1967. And I've made a living as an actor. That's it. I've never had to work as a waiter or do other things. I've always found a way, some years better than other years. But I also learned that if I'm working, and I was a single dad, so if I'm working, I got to make this last. I got to somehow figure out, and I know it's not, people tell me you should be making more, it should be different, but this is what it is. And I got to make sure that, the rent's paid, we got a place to stay, we got to, especially in the early days. Now things are a little bit better because there's no mortgage and, I'm at a better place. But, that it's never the way you think it ought to be, should be. It is what it is. And how do we give thanks for that and make sure that this is, that we can sustain. We always have what we need. And that's the hardest thing, is understanding that you have everything you need to have a wonderful life. It's the belief in lack that makes us panic and do things that...
it's also the trick of the appetite that has been, we've been conditioned to want things that we don't need.
Right. Well, because it's been a hard sell to convince us that we need things that we don't need. I got to have it, and you sacrifice everything to get it. And then it's, I got a car sitting in my garage and I'm like, I bought this car and I spent a lot of money and I don't even want to drive it. I mean, it's just, so this society gets us into wanting, and it's sort of, signing up for our own, I don't want to say slavery, but we have to keep that going.
Debt is enslavement. I'm going to just put that out there. We'll come back to it at another time, not today. But Ernie Hudson is here because, if you're indentured or if you're sharecropping, it's the same with having debt that you can't pay for. We are here with the great Ernie Hudson. He's promoting the next new season of The Family Business. He's the star of that. Ghostbusters just came out too. Frozen Empire.
Yes.
We were making the rounds for that and back in the saddle. And it's beautiful. And I loved you. Smiz and I were talking. Your favorite role of his is Oz.
Oz, yeah.
He was like, unsung hero, made that madness work, the stabilizing force.
My favorite character by far.
Thank you. That,
easily.
Thank you. That, I mean, it means a lot to me. You know, you do the work, and sometimes, especially if you don't get a lot of attention, my shelves aren't filled with a whole lot of awards. But when I meet people and people see the work and they tell me it connected to them in a special way or with their families, that means everything.
All right, I'm still trying to get the connection from the projects in Ben Harbor, the military, I think it was the Air Force and Marines. I'm sorry. I'm just simplifying. I'm sorry. I don't want to disrespect that. To acting. And then, like, your first role. Like, I remember Denzel Washington's first role, I think, that I saw him in was Carbon Copy.
Right.
It's like, for the teeth and all. Like, I was like, that was Denzel. What was your first role that people may not remember you in, but was so important for this journey that you're on?
Well, I did a movie with Gordon Parks called Lead Belly. We shot it in Texas, and it was a small part, but it seemed like it was major for me. And that sort of, started out. Gordon was amazing. Roger
this is before Superfly?
That
was him too, right?
Gordon did.
Shaft.
He did Shaft.
I know we did one of those.
Yeah. So, this was right around the same time. I can't remember what it was in 70.
I'm looking it up.
74, somewhere in there. We shot it. It didn't come out until a little bit later on, but that was the first real movie, and that's when I left Yale. I was at Yale for a year.
Okay.
And I went
so how did you get there?
So I was the first year at Yale. I got out. I went to do a play in Los Angeles. I was my marriage was falling apart. I got married, right out of high school. First, I realized.
You didn't want to sin. You didn't want to have sex outside of the wedlock.
No. In Benton Harbor, I just felt there were no opportunities, and that suddenly I realized I had graduated from high school with no. I mean, this was it. So the Marine Corps was my answer. So I joined the Marine Corps in April before I graduated from high school. We hitchhiked to Chicago to sign up for the Marines, and I got accepted. And right after, as soon as I graduated, the day later, I went over to Chicago, got on a plane, flew to San Diego, and I was in the Marine Corps. And that was, it was a nightmare. Because
I was going to say, was that scary?
Nobody talked about Vietnam. I never heard of Vietnam. And suddenly they're telling me there's a war, and I just signed up to
go there.
Everybody's going to Vietnam. I mean, because they didn't talk about it in 1964. But I, became the squad leader and was doing, but I had asthma. So the drill instructor forced me to eat shrimp, and I kept saying I'm allergic.
I saw it.
And
he tried to kill you.
It was like, eat it. So I ate it, and then I got rushed to sick bay. And on the way to sick bay, it was a brother who said, man, see, you got that asthma, man. You can get out of here with that asthma. He said, they ain't gonna send you over there, with that asthma. You get everybody killed. And so eventually I was discharged after 10 weeks, found myself back in the projects at my grandmother's house. And I was seeing a girl who had a difficult home life. It wasn't that difficult now, I realize, but she was not happy. And so one day a mother made her wash dishes, and I said, you know what, we can get married. And she said, okay. And so,
all right, so I don't want to wash dishes, but I'm gonna get married.
Get married, and my grandmother said, no, go back and tell her no. And I went back, and she said, oh, you lied, and she cried, and so we got married, and we're living in my grandmother's house in the projects, and that was my life. And like I was saying, sometimes you got to sit down, you got to talk to God, and I just said a prayer. And about 3:00 in the morning, something came to me and told me, it was like a voice saying, go downstairs and take the tube out of the back of the TV. And I did. I went downstairs, didn't understand it, and suddenly the TV didn't work, and she and I started talking. And I realized she's in the 9th grade. She had polio as a kid. And we started, talking, and she read books. She introduced me to books, and I was reading comics maybe, but I never got into books. I graduated with 1.7 average, so we just but we started planning, and we started imagining, what if we did this? And we left, went to Detroit, and got into college. I got turned down to every junior colleges turned me down. Finally, I said a prayer, and they said, go and talk to the guidance counselor. And I went up and I said, and she was pregnant, and so they let me in, and And I accidentally discovered theater. We had a fight, and I just didn't want to deal with it. So I'm in my car and I'm driving around. I saw some people gathered outside a little building, and I stopped to ask what was going on. It was a play at the Detroit Repertory Theater. I went in, I saw that play, and it blew my mind. And I thought, wow, if I could do that. And that's when you say that prayer from the heart, and God, this is what I do.
Look at this. And now here you are, Ernie Hudson. Before I let you go, last time you were here, I think I asked you if you worked out. And I remember you saying that you don't work out. And then I just saw a video of you with a gym in your house. And I said, you know what? You know what, Ernie Hudson?
No, you know what? It's funny because I can go and see my trainer. And I'm on time every day, but I'll walk past that gym. It's hard for me to do it on my own.
Okay, so what? Because my point was, look at you. Okay,
well,
sir.
you know what? It's funny because this
y'all not seeing the muscles. Okay,
when I was doing
got on a tight ass
Ghostbusters,
black T-shirt, like a short sleeve, so he ain't got no the muscles are muscling.
I took off my coat, and suddenly people discovered I had arms, and I'm like, I'm 78 years old. Now, finally, now it's almost like, when you're in junior high and you like the girl and she laughs at you. Now at 78, she thinks, you're kind of cute. I'm like, really?
Yes.
At 78 now,
look, yes. Yes, you are. Yes.
So, no, I do common sense stuff. I always say you just can't be stupid. So
all right, 78. What are you doing?
Yeah, no, I try to drink at least half a gallon of water every day. I try that at least. I'm not always successful at it. I try not to eat before noon. I try not to eat after 7, even though I'm not always successful at it. I don't like to say there's anything I don't do, but I don't, because I always like to think if I wanted to, I could, but I don't drink. I don't smoke. Actually, I'm probably pretty boring, but, and I kind of eat what I want, just, but I go to Pilates teacher, if I'm not working, if I'm around. I have a weight trainer I see once a week, not more than once a week, because then you bulk up and then I'm somebody's bodyguard on TV.
Right.
So, but just common sense stuff, and the walking. I heard you talk about your walking, so getting those steps in and just staying healthy.
So what?
And spirit. I believe spirit, because I believe
that should have been number one.
That is number one. That is primary, because when your spirit is down, you're not kind to yourself. And if you're not kind to yourself, you take it out. The only way you can take it out is physically, and it shows through your skin, it shows through your eyes. So just love yourself, because it's not easy in this society.
Let me tell you. All right, we're going to love ourselves, because I watch a lot of television. The Family Business is probably going to make it on my what to watch list. What are we going to expect from Elsie Duncan this season? And Valerie Pettiford, tell her I said hello.
She's
amazing. Okay, Miguel Nunez, come on. Tammy Roman is killing it. All right, so what can we expect from the family?
And I have to say right here, Miguel Nunez has a line of shoes called Shoes by Miguel.
Oh, are you wearing them?
I'm wearing a pair of Miguel's shoes.
Okay. So, I'm gonna do a little Insta post and put something in Nubia.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he gave me a couple pair of shoes. I wore one pair at the BET Awards, so just me. But it's an amazing cast. And Valerie Pettiford is just amazing. I love her. She inspires me. I'm so thankful to have a chance. She played my wife on a couple of other times over the years.
Oh, y'all got history.
So she's amazing.
Hot.
But this season, LC has been in the mental institution. And his adversaries think he's weakened a bit, so he has to show.
Are you doing a little Joe Biden? You little rope dope?
No, not LC. We ain't roping no dope.
Dope. I'm not really that diminished. Come try it if you want to. I'm saying Biden's rope doping.
Your Biden is that's a whole other
conversation which we don't have time for today.
I wish those people would have it in private, not scaring the few people who might show up. But anyway, that's another story.
Thank you.
My days are cooler, nights are warmer, and I put the blame on you. Time moves slow.